What's up, lads? Welcome back to the Copology channel. It is Jake here for you today, and I'm going to be looking into the news that broke out yesterday afternoon, and that is that apparently Arne Slot is now the front runner for the Liverpool manager's job in this summer. So I'm going to break down this video into basically three different segments. I'm going to be looking at what happened in terms of the events in which this came out. I'm going to be looking at a bit of Arne Slot's history, and I'm also going to delve into my thoughts and opinions on everything, basically. Okay, so following the order of events, the first one I've got is actually probably the most reliable source that we need, and it's Paul Joyce, and he confirms that the Feyenoord head coach, Arne Slot, has emerged as a leading candidate in Liverpool's search for a replacement for Jürgen Klopp. A bunch of other journalists have also jumped on this. We've got Melissa Reddy, we've got Dom King, James Pearce, Fabrizio, and they all basically say the same thing in effect of Arne Slot is now the favourite candidate to replace Jürgen Klopp when he leaves in the summer. But to be fair, they each offered their own unique little take on it. So for example, James Pearce also said that he satisfied many of the relevant criteria set by the Liverpool board's recruitment process, and he ticked all of those boxes. And a key one I kind of want to point out actually is from David Lynch. He has said that Arne Slot has emerged as a strong contender to replace Jürgen Klopp as Liverpool manager. It's not a foregone conclusion, with Bayern Munich and Barcelona also interested, but the Dutchman is said to tick a lot of boxes. Furthermore, Melissa Reddy has also said Ruben Amorim is no longer in the frame for the Liverpool job, with Arne Slot as the favourite. So basically all of them in a roundabout way confirming that Arne Slot is probably the favoured option at Liverpool. Some of them are saying we've already had contact, some of them are saying we haven't had contact, some of them are saying that they've pleased the boards or the club's criteria that are set during this search. But one thing I think is crucial is that you can see that basically this has been a club briefing. The fact that people like Paul Joyce, Melissa Reddy, James Pearce, they're all on it, is probably come from the club in some degree. And I'll get on to why that might be important in a bit. But firstly, let's assume it is true and Arne Slot's going to be our next manager. Let's have a little look at his history. So right off the bat, you can see he's a fairly fresh coach, because according to his Wikipedia page, which I get is not the best for information and as a source, but I'm going to use it anyway. He started his first proper manager's job in 2019 at AZ Alkmaar. Subsequently went to Feyenoord in 2021 and has been there ever since. A weird thing I've just read is that within 6 months he was actually sacked from Alkmaar, but it wasn't because he was like shit or anything. It's because he was allegedly found negotiating a deal with Feyenoord, so they probably just found out about his deal being prepared and said his focus wasn't on the club, so they sacked him. Which is kind of fair enough, I suppose. Another note though is that apparently Slot had earned 2.11 points per game in the Eredivisie, which is apparently the highest of any coach in that club's history. So if we have a little quick scan at their season, they did finish second on the same points actually as Ajax, who finished in first, but it was just that Ajax had a better goal difference. And to be fair, it looks like it was one of the leagues that were affected by COVID because they only played 25 matches. There could have genuinely been an argument there to say how much of that was his doing then, because he was sacked within 6 months. But given the fact that he was there for 6 months, and then I don't think there would have been that long in between when he was sacked and when the league's suspended, it's probably mostly him, especially if you go off that average about the 2.11 points per game. So we'll give him that. We'll say he finished second in that season. They beat his current team, Feyenoord, and they beat PSV, so starting to look okay. We'll skip the 2020 and 2021 season because he wasn't a manager anywhere at that point. It was only from the 2021 season that he was Feyenoord coach, and they finished third. That is behind Ajax and PSV. He was on 71 points. They were on 81 and 83 respectively, with Ajax being the one in charge, but we don't need to know that detail. Then in 2022 and 2023, they did actually finish top. They were champions. And in this current season, he is second place, only behind PSV. It's really hard to make a decisive opinion about this because a lot of this stuff that you could either judge him negatively or positively on is kind of, there's always factors that can differentiate what you think about it. So for example, let's say the season he was champion, you could argue he was only in for a season or two. How much of that was his team, how much of that was his style of play, how much of that was the infrastructure. It feels a bit too fresh to come in and win. I mean, it's not impossible. We've seen what Xavi's done with Bayer Leverkusen. It's just how many coaches can realistically come in and just change a team around like that and then win a league. Another slight concern is that he's only ever managed in the Eredivisie, and he's only ever managed 2 teams at that. In an ideal world, I would like a manager that has been managing for 10 plus years at the very best. Especially better if they've managed between not only different teams but different leagues, because you get different sense of what those leagues are like. You get a bit more experience, a bit more exposure to the whole footballing world. I know you kind of get that with the Champions League anyway, but you know, it is different. And pairing that up with the fact that he's a fairly fresh coach, I am a little bit reluctant. I'll be open-minded, I will give it a go, I'll come round to the idea. I'm just saying I'm not at 100% optimism. Ultimately, I think it's going to be one of those. There's not much conclusive evidence that he has definitely nailed on the perfect replacement for Klopp, given the fact that he's not been a manager for that long. He's only ever managed in one league. And a lot of his results and finishes in those leagues are a bit sceptical as to whether or not he was responsible or not. So we're just going to have to trust in Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes and FSG. In Edwards, we trust. One thing I do want to get out there as a bit of a wildcard theory, just so I've got it out there, if it does happen, is that I do think there is a reason why the club has briefed these journalists. I don't specifically know what the reason is, but I don't think they would have done this without any purpose. To specifically go and address all of your journalists and tell them to all report the same story about your preferred target in the midst of, you know, it basically being a left field shout. It is a strange choice. I can't really wrap my head around how you'd do that other than you would have a purpose to do that. One crazy idea is that it could be a bit of a smokescreen, allow them to work a bit more peacefully without the clear favourite being the only one in the race. That's a very left field shout though, I must admit, so I don't really know what the reason is. I just think there is a reason why we've briefed our journalists to all report on the same story. And it's also weird that it came out right after Amorim was getting tapped up for the West Ham job, so... And to be fair, it could even just be to get the feelers out there to see what Liverpool fans think of this. It is a very brave decision to go from Xabi to Amorim to Arne Slot, you know, someone who wasn't even on anyone's third, fourth, fifth choice list. I mean, we've even had Mourinho shout before we had Arne Slot, so, you know, shows how kind of left field it is, I guess. So it could just be them putting out there just to see what Liverpool fans think before they make a decision. I don't know. My personal stance is I think we are still actually looking at a number of different coaches, and we haven't really decided on one, but we're just looking at stats data as well as probably the financial side of it as well, just to determine whether or not that's worth it for us. That said, Slot is probably still a favourite in my eyes, just based on the amount of people that have reported it. It's got to be. So that will be it for this video. Let me know what you think about Arne Slot being Liverpool's next manager. Do you think any of my wildcard left field theories could be true? Let me know down in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. I'm going to be doing some more videos around, obviously, the manager search. I'm going to be doing some transfer stuff as well, because that won't stop. I'm going to be doing some match reactions as well as live streams weekly as well, especially in the build up to the end of the season. It's going to be very crucial to see what happens in these last 5 games or so. So make sure you do subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified whenever we upload. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. In a bit, lads.